When the other kids used to go outside and play, I would try to do that. Then I'd come home and very sick and have to be back in the hospital.
17-year-old Alexandria Young of St. Louis, Missouri, has sickle cell anemia, among 72,000 Americans with the disease.
Among all Americans, approximately 1 in 1,500 to 1 in 2,000 newborns will be diagnosed with sickle cell disease.
In people with sickle cell disease, their red blood cells become deformed, turning sickle-shaped. The bone marrow tries to make more red cells to make up for the loss, but can't keep up, causing anemia. Their new shape keeps them from moving properly through the body, and then this shapen cells can jam up and stick to the walls of the blood vessels. These clumps cut off oxygen to healthy tissue, delaying a child's normal growth and causing fatigue and extreme pain.
It's like a hammer beating at you like for a long time.
I never heard anybody scream that high and just wail out, and we were like, what's wrong, and man, she had it so bad where her eyes just roll back up, just roll back, and just in pain, just screaming, yelling, and we didn't know what to do.
And I thought she was just talking in her sleep or something, but she had mentioned that she was ready to go home. And I said, Alexandria, you are home. We're home now. She said, no, Mommy, I want to go to heaven. That's my home. And
Okay, deep breath.
Dr. Michael Dubon has been Alexandria's hematologist since she was 4 years old.
Any headaches, double vision.
Fatigue and pain are not the only issue in sickle cell disease. Essentially, every organ in the body can be damaged by the lack of oxygen. The kidneys, the heart.
It is here. I'm getting my stem cells. They're going in right now. My name is Revea Japon, and I am here at the Tom Baker Cancer Center for a bone marrow transplant. I have sickle cell anemia. I was diagnosed at 2, and it's been something I've been struggling with my entire life. I've experienced lots of emergency room stays. When I was growing up, I felt it a lot in my stomach and my back and my chest. But then as I got older, it became more of a joint and a bone pain. Very sore, very tender. And that pain is just very intense. Like, I would say that pain is 10 out of 10.
I remember you being 1 or 2 years old and just crying and thinking, I was thinking, why is my little sister always crying? I always knew when you were sick because you would always go run somewhere and hide. When we couldn't find you in the house or something like that,
Revea was sick.
Where's Revea? And we'd always find you in the room, either balled up or, shaking and in pain.
Eventually, Revea came to see me and said she wanted to explore the business of bone marrow transplant or stem cell transplant.
The Alberta Children's Hospital has extensive experience in transplanting children with sickle cell anemia, and so we thought that we would build on that experience by expanding the program into the adult world.
It's not for everyone. You require a sibling, a brother or sister who's got an HLA match or a tissue match to serve as a donor. If you don't have that, we can't do the transplant.
I got the results for the testing on my birthday. And so it was the most wonderful gift that anybody could ask for. To me, getting these stem cells is pretty much getting a gift of life, a gift that nobody else could give, and she's just so willing to give this to me, which makes me really happy. I'm very fortunate to have her.
So, Prodigy of Mobb Deep it's been reported that he has died. Now, he died on June 20th, 2017. Now, the apparent cause of death are complications from sickle cell disease. Now, Prodigy of Mobb Deep, he's suffered from sickle cell disease or sickle cell anemia for a long time. If you go back, there was a song that Tupac had a song back in the 1990s, back when Tupac had beef with a lot of rappers from New York City. He said something about Prodigy. I think it was on Hit 'Em Up. I have to go check, I can't remember, but it was Tupac said something about Prodigy having sickle cell. He said he said something about Prodigy needs to relax. He might get a seizure and die or something like that. I think it was on Hit 'Em Up at the end of the song when he's saying stuff about all these different people. So anyway, so Prodigy of Mobb Deep, he's died, and it seems to be from sickle cell. Now I knew he had sickle cell, but he seemed to be okay. I don't know that much about how the disease works, but Prodigy of Mobb Deep, they said he had the sickle cell, and then he seemed okay. And so I guess without treatment, people with sickle cell anemia, they just die very quick. They don't live very long. But they have all these treatments and medications or whatever they do, they can keep people alive for longer now if they get the treatment. So I didn't expect him to just die like that. I thought he was okay. I thought he would be okay. There's another person who has sickle cells, T-Boz from TLC. She also has sickle cell. I'm not sure how she's doing, but anyway, so I didn't expect him to die. It's kind of surprising that he just died like that suddenly. But anyway, so rest in peace to Prodigy. Now, this is on the side. This is kind of a tangent, but this whole sickle cell thing. If you look at the origins of sickle cell, there are people who, you hear these people, you see them a lot on the internet, these people who say that black people are not descended from Africans, okay? But the sickle cell disease, that's a genetic legacy of Africans. The reason that sickle cell is relatively common among people of African descent in the Americas, Black Americans, is that sickle cell protects against malaria. So in Africa, in some parts of sub-Saharan Africa, or a lot of sub-Saharan Africa, they had a lot of malaria. I guess they still have a lot of malaria. And they have malaria used to be common all over the world. It was in Europe, it was in England, the Netherlands, Canada, the United States, all over Asia. It was everywhere, almost everywhere. But there's different strains of malaria. So malaria is caused by these little tiny animals that go in people's bloodstreams. They're spread by mosquitoes. Mosquitoes bite somebody, they pick up these little tiny microscopic animals, protozoa. They pick up the protozoa, then they bite somebody else. They inject the protozoa into the bloodstream. They multiply in your bloodstream. You get sick. So anyway, so there's different, species of these protozoa, and there's certain kinds that cause worse disease than other ones. So the most dangerous, most deadly type of protozoa is called falciparum, and that is most common in sub-Saharan Africa, tropical sub-Saharan Africa. So this disease, and malaria was very common. Basically every single person, every single child in Africa got falciparum malaria. Every single one of them in tropical Africa. Every single kid got the malaria. I read somewhere that the infection rate
I've had sickle cell since I was born.
When we realized that Naomi had sickle cell, it was tough.
I think I cried for days. I was devastated.
You hear about a lot of other disorders far more frequently and in a more pronounced way than you do sickle cell disease. It's really been sort of a hidden disease over the years, and one that most people are extremely unaware of.
We know that 1 in 375 African American newborns has the disease. The current life expectancy of someone born with sickle cell disease is 42 to 48 years of age.
Even though my husband and I sat down with my daughter and explained to her her condition, it's still hard for me to tell her that one day she may, die from this condition.
It's the unpredictable nature of the disease that makes a great impact on our families. Every day you wake up cautiously hopeful that this will be one of those days that you don't have to go to the hospital because of fever, or that you don't have to go to the hospital because of pain.
First times he spent almost weeks in the hospital. It was very challenging.
I feel forever indebted to CHOP for making us feel at home and welcome.
The Children's Hospital of Philadelphia is unique in many ways. It's the oldest children's hospital in the country, and that's one of the reasons that our sickle cell center is so large and covers over 1,000 patients.
Dr. Ohene Frimpong was one of the founders of the sickle cell program here at the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia. And he took a group of basic scientists, clinical researchers, and put them to the test
at really trying to find a way to improve the quality of life of those living with sickle cell disease.
I've been at CHOP for 16 years, and the reason I stay at CHOP is because it's a very conducive environment and supportive environment to do cutting-edge research, and that relates to CHOP's mission to generate new cures for all types of diseases.
Dr. Flake's work really gives us the possibility of having children being born healthy.
Hey guys, it's just Michi and welcome back to my channel. So today's going to be kind of a chit-chatty, informative video, so please stay tuned till the end because I have something really important that I'd like to tell you guys. Now, as you guys can probably tell from the title,
playing against the Memphis Grizzlies.
Isaac is a typical 18-year-old.
I created a play. He's a 7'1" center.
He loves sports. He loves to play video games.
He's had a very good school year, and sickle cell anemia haven't had him out of school much this school year.
First memory of sickle cell disease, I want to say preschool.
So at birth he was tested through a blood test, and we were told that he had the sickle cell anemia. I was fearful and at that point, and so at that point his dad and I, our only option was, accept that Isaac had sickle cell disease and learn as much about the disease as we can.
Sickle cell disease is an inherited blood disease, which means that children have it from birth throughout their entire life. The problem with the red blood cells is that the hemoglobin, which carries oxygen to the body, is abnormal. This abnormal hemoglobin is a little bit less effective at carrying oxygen, but it